an adjunct professor at Hamline University in Minnesota, says she lost her job for showing a painting that depicted the Prophet Muhammad. Many modern Muslim clerics believe that visual representations of the Prophet Muhammad should not be shown, but such a instruction is not explicitly stated in the Quran. Professor Erica Lopez Prater says she warned her students that she was going to show an image of a famous 14th century painting that depicted Muhammad, this in her art history class. She said any students with concerns should come to her directly. After showing her class the painting, which depicts a winged and crowned angel Gabriel pointing at the Prophet Muhammad, a student complained, and the professor subsequently was not asked to return to teach next year. This has sparked debate over free speech and religious freedom. We want to bring in right now Omid Safi. He's an Iranian American who teaches Asian and Middle Eastern studies at Duke University. Thanks so much for joining us, Professor Safi. So Hamline's president, in an email to students and faculty that was shared with CNN, says, quote, "We believe in academic freedom, but it should not and cannot be used to be used to excuse away behavior that harms others," unquote. How do you see this?
Thank you so much for having me on. I think the words of the Hamline president are more than a little unfortunate, because it pits it as an issue of freedom of speech versus the sensitivities of Muslim students. The fact of the matter is that these kinds of images have been an important part of the Islamic tradition. They are a sacred icon tradition, if you want to use that word, and they have existed in both the Sunni and the Shia tradition going back almost 1,000 years. So I think there's a big difference between the kind of offensive images like the ones that we saw in Charlie Hebdo and iconic devotional works of art which have been produced by Muslim artists for consumption of Muslims, with the specific goal of drawing the audience closer to the Prophet and closer to God.
And beyond that, I just wonder, as a professor at Duke, how does it make you feel as a professor that the university would say, you can't show this? This obviously didn't happen to you, but you can't show this or you'll be fired, even though obviously the intent was not to offend, it was to instruct.
Well, actually this semester I'm teaching a course on the life, the devotion to, the legacy of, and the artistic tradition of the Prophet Muhammad. So starting on Wednesday, I'm going to be discussing many of these same kinds of images in my own classroom. I think what the role of education should be, yes, it is to love and protect our students. It's also to expand our horizons. Many of the students probably had never been aware of the fact that these images exist. They have existed. If they would get an opportunity to go to the Met, they would see that the Metropolitan Museum of Art has 13 of these images. 2 of them are on permanent display. So does the Smithsonian, so does the British Library and museums in Turkey and Iran and elsewhere. So that's an opportunity to expand their horizon. It doesn't mean that they have to agree with it, but it does mean that they deserve the opportunity to be challenged, to have a reasoned discussion about the role that these kinds of images have played historically, and to make up their own mind in that context.
So when did it change? When did so many Muslim clerics become convinced that showing any image, even a reverential one of the Prophet Muhammad, was something that should prompt outrage?
That's the really interesting part of this story for me. In general, I tend to be interested in how is it that some practices and some interpretations, which used to be quite commonplace, come to be marginalized later on. And we find that sometimes to be the case with mystical, with spiritual, with aesthetically powerful presentations of Islam, which used to be absolutely mainstream. And this was true in the Sunni and the Shia tradition. For example, many of the kinds of images that we tend to show in art history courses and some religion courses, they tended to come from the Ottoman Empire, which was the seat of the Sunni Caliphate. This is about as central to the center of authority and power as it gets in Islam. It really is in the last 150 years or so, where interpretations that we could call Salafi or Wahhabi tend to rise in prominence, and they want to erase what has come before. Those of us who are educators, I think what we try to do is to point out, why is it that these images have been produced? And they usually point out two services. One, they depict the scene of the Prophet Muhammad's ascension to see God face to face, the Mi'raj. That's the pivotal spiritual experience of Islam. And then secondly, they show Muhammad in the company of other prophets, which points out to the universality of the Islamic tradition. I hope that as all of these discussions go on, that we get a chance to go back to those two fundamental points of what is it that this iconic tradition was designed to do, to point out the way to see God face to face, and the universalism, which has always been a hallmark of the Islamic tradition.
All right, Professor Omid Safi, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.